You're listening to Price's Highway Podcast with your host, Stephen Price. Now grab a beverage of choice and sit back as Stephen talks to today's guest from Freedom Reigns Ranch.
Freedom Reigns Ranch, located in Columbia, Tennessee, is a faith-based organization dedicated to providing mentorship to children and young adults who have experienced trauma and other life challenges. Their mission is to ignite hope with the help of a horse, offering all programming completely free of charge. Now that's awesome. And joining me today is the owner of Freedom Reigns Ranch, Carissa Ramsdell. Carissa, thanks for joining us today.
It's so good to be here. Thanks for having me. Although I would like to point out, Jesus is the owner of the ranch. We just get to take care of it.
That's very duly noted. So Carissa, tell us a little bit about the founding vision and inspiration of the ranch.
So, long story short, my life was saved by Jesus through a horse. And I had been through a lot of trauma growing up, just dealing with the aftermath of that drove me to perfection and just trying to do everything I could to control different aspects of my life and make life perfect. And with that, just dealt with a lot of anxiety and depression, dealing with some unhealthy behaviors of how to cope with the aftermath of trauma, and was fully convinced that God had caused everything wrong to happen rather than being the one to be able to save me from it. And so with that, enter a horse at the time who was just simply misunderstood and miscategorized. And he expressed that by being outwardly described by trainers as mean, uncontrollable, crazy, and worthless in many regards. And so he was simply just misunderstood, being an Anglo-Arabian. So if you think about horses, they are these, intelligent animals, and especially Arabians, they are very expressive and energetic and love to be, just rejoice in their strength. And so when he was being told, no, you have to do this and fit in this little box of how to do things, he became pretty mad. And so with that, my person at the barn had taught me doing natural horsemanship, which is basically being an ambassador of yes and teaching the horse that you want to partner with them, and you're not going to keep telling them no all the time, but you want to show them what you can accomplish together. And God got a hold of my heart and helped me realize that's what he was trying to do with me, is that he wasn't telling me, no, don't stop, quit, don't do this all the time. It was, I have plans for hope and a future for you, and I want to show that to you if you can trust me. And so I gave my life to Jesus as a result of how he got attention of my heart through a horse. And through a series of events only God could have orchestrated, there started to be opportunities to have kids come from church and just from situations where they, may have been dealing with the loss of a parent or going through a challenging divorce, to be able to come out and just have some time with my horse. And I watched their lives start to transform in the process of just having that trust-based relationship and with an animal that so readily is willing to love and forgive and teach if we're willing to listen, and how God works through that. And so through that, the ranch was born. It wasn't ever really a plan to be a nonprofit or anything like that. It was just using my horse to hopefully help kids going through a rough time. And now here we are 10 years later, and with a beautiful facility and serving almost 60 kids, coming a few times a month. And just in these, by the world standards, these benchmarks for a nonprofit that just blow my mind, because that's what God had planned. I just had no idea.
That's awesome. Hey, can you elaborate on the different programs offered?
Absolutely. So we offer what we consider to be faith-based equine-assisted mentorship. And that's a fancy term that goes in the vein of the equine-assisted learning. There's a lot of different EAs, equine-assisted X, Y, and Z out there, like psychotherapy, hippotherapy, all focusing on different aspects. And so we focus on the mentorship piece. And what we mean by that is coming alongside people, for us, children and young adults, ages 5 to 35, and what we like to say, to keeping it cowboy real out here, is spurring them forward in life. And so really what it is using the horse and how God created them as a relational animal to help identify areas where we can grow as people. Most of that has to do with trust, confidence, boundaries, relationships, respect, overcoming anxiety. And so all of our programs focus on the individual person in either a one-on-one or a small group context. And so we have our one-on-one program, which is 90 minutes with a horse and a leader 100% of that time. And it's focused on what that individual wants to have in that session. So it could just simply be having fun and playing on a horse, just getting to be out and what God created and everything that he's made. Or it could be really pointed and say, hey, we want to work on an activity that might highlight what it means to grow in trust or to grow in enforcing our boundaries sometimes, or understanding how to read body language, especially when it comes to a horse, because that translates to relationships so well. And so those are one-on-one sessions. And then for our small group sessions, those are based on age and life circumstance. And when we do that, we break up our groups, usually no more than 6 individuals. And with that, they get to engage in a full season with each other. During that time, we have a specific topic that we address with them as a group and craft our activities with our horses around any specific topic. And so they grow in an entire season in relationship with each other, and then also with their session leader and their horses for that time. And so it really creates that community where a lot of times, when people have been through trauma, it tends to be very isolating. And so to have a community where you guys all come together and center around this animal that you love, a horse, and you're able to work together, and naturally the things that come out of that group context are creative problem solving, critical thinking skills, leadership, and again, overcoming that anxiety and growing in confidence. That's really brought out in our group program, which is called Ranchers. We do family sessions, so that's our third type. So one-on-one ranchers, and then family sessions for families that are just going through a rough spot. Sometimes it can be for them just to come out and play and have a great time, a bright spot in their day when they're having a really challenging time as a family. Or we also like to do family activities with horses that bring out communication challenges, because horses have a great way of bringing out some tension, and then we work through that in a creative way and talk about how we can apply that to their life and their relationship as a family. And then we do special sessions for other nonprofits and groups in the area that have a common unifying experience. Most of the time that has been like something that's been through trauma. So for example, like the Covenant students that are from the school in Nashville that experienced tragedy now going on almost 2 years ago, getting to have them come out and just have a safe place for all of them to be together and play and enjoy what God created, and help really form those relationships around positive experiences rather than focusing on the trauma that might have happened. And so those are our 4 core programs: one-on-one sessions, small group ranchers, family sessions, and then those special sessions for certain groups of people or other nonprofits in the area that are serving populations that could really benefit from sessions.
Are there any stories of transformation that just stick out in your mind?
Oh man, there are so many. I think for me, one of the most transformational ones that I've seen is the ones where we get to walk alongside someone for a really long time. Being 10 years not old in our ministry and just watching what God does, we've had the privilege of just having so many young people come through our doors, and some for a short time, some for a long time. The moments that stick out the most, though, even though there's so many big ones, are actually the really small, simple moments where you watch something that feels so sacred and special. And I think one of those moments for me was, I wasn't even the session leader in the session, but I got to witness one of our session leaders help facilitate for a girl that was just dealing with a lot of stuff and had been through a lot. Get on the back of a horse for the first time after she had really wanted to, and had come several sessions and wanting to work up that courage, but just not able to overcome that fear to swing her leg to the other side of the horse. Like, she had walked up the mounting stairs, and our horses are saints. They just so patiently wait there, and you could just see this intense desire. I want to, but I'm so scared and I don't know. And there's just so many things that could go wrong, and what if, and just watching her paralyzed by that anxiety was so heartbreaking. And so I'll never forget the day she finally got up the courage to swing that leg over. And this was several sessions in, and the relief and excitement, and she was shaking and crying, and she threw her hand up in the air and goes, "I did it!" And I mean, you could have stopped the world in that moment, and everyone around the arena was cheering for her, and her session leader was cheering for her. I was crying. Her mom was looking on the other side of the arena with her hand in the air, and one hand with a phone recording. And just watching for her overcome something that to her seemed impossible. Physically, she felt the effects of that fear. Mentally, she felt like she just couldn't make her body do what it needed to do to enjoy something. And watch her shatter that in an instant with the choice to swing her leg over and trust her horse and trust her leader. That's a moment I don't think I'll ever forget. It just feels like it stands still in my mind. And what my hope and prayer is, and I truly believe, is that's going to translate to her life going forward in some pretty awesome ways. One of my favorite verses, and really where the ranch, one of the foundation verses we have, it just says, "Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's freedom." Because it's for freedom that Christ set us free from the law of sin and death. And, that's at the core of who we are and what we do. We're very much a practice what you preach, walk out your faith, and serve others wholeheartedly. And so, freedom involves freedom from fear and getting to do things like ride a horse or gallop on a horse and experience everything that God has for us. And there's so much joy in that and absolute freedom.
Now, with every program, there comes challenges. What's the biggest challenges you all are facing right now?
Oh, goodness. So many challenges. I think when it comes to, obviously every nonprofit's always going to say finances. Oh, my goodness. And horses are the most financially draining thing you will ever invest in. There's a saying in the horse world, you start out with, the way you make a small fortune in horses is you start out with a big one. And so with that, I think one of the hardest things is watching the strain that volunteers sometimes feel with their time. Cause we have an army of volunteers. We have over 80. They're incredible. And we see often how they want to be out so much, but the reality of life is it pulls at your time and resources, and life is so much more expensive now. So everyone's having to get second jobs and balance that out. And so the hardest thing for me personally, and I think just overall on the ranch, is seeing people's hearts and knowing how much they want to pour in, and then having to balance that out and knowing that they can only do so much, but just being so grateful for that. And I think that translates to what I think every nonprofit would give for an answer is, volunteers and resources when it comes to finances, and then people able to give their time, because people's hearts are so in the right place. And it's such a thing to honor, but the reality of our world is that it's a very hard time to be able to give financially and give your time to something that you believe in. But natural challenges, but nothing that we haven't seen God work through.
What's your future vision of Freedom Reigns Ranch?
To not have a wait list. That would be the day we don't have a wait list is the day I can honestly say, okay, now we're doing everything we can do. It is so awesome to be able to do so much, and really I'm floored at where the ministry has come from and where it is and where I believe it's going. But it's also heartbreaking. Just the other day we were having to add up things for like a year-end, giving campaign. And part of that is, this is why we need people to give, and just stating that need. I hate asking for money, but the reality is we can't do this without it. And so in that process, we had to add up how many applications for sessions are on our wait list. And it was 157.
Oh, wow.
And that breaks my heart because it's not just applications. Like, those are kids, those are young adults, those are families who have been through something traumatic that has wrecked their world, and they're willing to reach out and ask for help, and we have to say wait. And that is so heartbreaking because, we can only do what we can do, and we're doing everything we can. But to be able to get to the point where we can be able to say, yes, we've got a session opening next week. Can you be here? That to me is the ultimate where I hope and pray we can eventually get to. And the way we do that is more volunteers and being able to have more resources to be able to have the staff to support the work that we do. And we know God's timing. He'll make whatever happen, however he sees fit. And so the ultimate vision, though, is to be able to not have to say wait when someone's reaching out for help and hope.
Well, how does the community help?
Well, so many ways. Just simply sharing about the ranch is a huge thing. Every one of us, or most people, are on social media and, just saying, hey, this is here in our community and it's a resource for you. And if you have time or if you are able in a place to be able to give, that is a great way to start, is just helping get the word out and then following up on, if you're feeling led to be involved in one of those ways of either letting people know, volunteering, or simply giving. Each one is so vital and so valuable. And not every person can do everything, but everyone can do something in that way. And so it's because of that we exist and that we can continue to grow and, Lord willing, get to the point where we don't have to tell kids they have to wait.
Well, tell folks how you can volunteer and how you can give.
Yeah. So volunteering is available either on a one-time or an ongoing basis. On our website, you'll see there's an events tab. And underneath that, you'll see community volunteer days. And that's for anyone of any age to be able to come out and help once a month on a Saturday afternoon. And we make it really fun. It's usually 2 hours long. And there's, of course, always time to interact with and say hi to the horses, because that is definitely a highlight. We have special events that we do a few times a year that we're always looking for volunteers for as well. And then for those that want to be involved on a more ongoing basis, we actually bring everyone through a full training program, so you don't have to have any horse experience at all. But there are core volunteers that come and volunteer either each week or every other week, are so vital to what we do. We have about 84 or 85 right now. And don't hear that number and don't think you're not needed, because we could use triple that. And so we give full, complete training to everybody that comes. Obviously, there's an application, a background check involved with that. And then we train you up. And then for giving as far as financially, that can be done on our website, or we also have Venmo, because it makes it super easy. Venmo's at Freedom Reigns, REIGNS Ranch. And then our website is www.freedomreinsranch.com, and Reigns is REIGNS. And then we also have it set up if, with capital gains and everything this year, obviously talk to your tax accountant, but we are able to accept stock and security donations as well, because that way you don't have to pay taxes on that, and it comes directly to benefit the ranch. But of course, always consult your tax professional whenever considering that.
Well, this is awesome. Is there anything we left out that you want to tell everybody?
Oh man, just come and get involved, and just know that we're here. And if we can be a resource to you, please reach out. We would love to have you come anytime that we have a community event. And the one thing I didn't mention is every fall we do a hoedown that is open to the community. It's free to attend. It is so much fun. There is line dancing involved, and it's really easy. So don't worry if you don't know how to do it. We actually teach you how to do that. We serve dinner, and you get to meet the horses and play and have fun with yard games and farm games. And it's just a really fun celebratory time. And that is every fall. Our 2025 date is to be determined, but it will likely be the first or second weekend in September. and we'll have that a date on our website by January 5th.
Very cool. And where are y'all located?
We are in North Columbia. And so if you're familiar with the area, if you come down 65, we are right off of 65 and Bear Creek Pike.
Okay. Well, Carissa, thank you so much. You're doing wonderful work out there.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to share just what we're doing and what God's doing. And thank you for helping get word out about awesome stuff going on in the area, too. It's so awesome to get with you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You've been listening to Price's Highway podcast. Please subscribe and, if you haven't already, join thousands of your friends, neighbors, and strangers at the Price's Highway Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Price's Highway. Thank you for listening. Toodaloo.